Chapter 1. Midnight Whispers. The chime of the diner's entrance bell rang cheerfully as Henry Hawks Smart and his best friend, Leo Baxter, stepped into the cosy embrace of Mabel's dine. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee and sizzling bacon wafted through the air, mingling with the soft hum of chatter and the clatter of dishes. The diner, a fixture in Riverton Bend, was a tapestry of retro charm and warm hospitality, with its red vinyl booths, checkered floor tiles, and a jukebox that still played classics from the 50s. Henry, with his keen autumn chestnut hair and observant eyes, slid into their usual booth by the window. Leo, his curly red hair, a stark contrast to Henry's, flopped down opposite him, his infectious smile as bright as the morning sun filtering through the diner's windows. As they pored over the menu, a hushed conversation from the next booth caught Henry's attention. Two elderly men, their faces etched with the wisdom of years, leaned in close, their voices a low murmur. "You ever hear about the Waverly Mansion?" one of the men said, his eyes glinting with a mix of fear and excitement. "They say at midnight the walls whisper secrets of the past." "Waverly Place," his companion replied, skepticism lacing his tone. "Just a bunch of old-town legends. Nothing but the wind howling through those empty halls." Henry's interest was piqued. He subtly pulled out his journal, a constant companion in his detective endeavours, and began jotting down notes. The Waverly Mansion, an enigmatic structure on the outskirts of town, had always been shrouded in mystery and local folklore. "Midnight Whispers?" "Huh," Leo whispered, leaning in. "Sounds like our kind of mystery." Henry nodded, his mind already racing with possibilities. The Waverly Mansion had stood abandoned for years, its history a patchwork of rumours and hearsay, but Henry knew that every legend had a kernel of truth. As they ate their breakfast, Henry's thoughts were elsewhere, weaving through the labyrinth of possibilities and questions. The diner, with its walls adorned with pictures of Riverton Bend's past and its patrons sharing stories, felt like the perfect backdrop for the beginning of a new adventure. The diner, the morning sun casting long shadows on the streets of Riverton Bend, Henry turned to Leo with a determined glint in his eye. "Leo," he said, his voice low but firm, "I think it's time we took a closer look at the Waverly Mansion. There's a mystery there, and I intend to uncover it." Leo's grin widened, mirroring Henry's resolve. "You know I'm always in for a good mystery. Let's do it, Hawk." With their course set, the duo stepped into the day, the whispers of the Waverly Mansion echoing in their minds, beckoning them to unravel the secrets hidden within its wall. The Riverton Bend Public Library, with its grand stone facade and towering columns, stood as a testament to the town's love for history and knowledge. Henry and Leo, their minds buzzing with curiosity, pushed open the heavy wooden doors and stepped into the hallowed halls of learning. The library, a labyrinth of bookshelves laden with tomes of all sizes, exuded a sense of quiet adventure. Their way to the local history section, a cosy corner of the library where the past seemed to whisper from the pages of dusty books and yellowed newspapers, Henry's eyes lit up at the sight of the archives, a treasure trove of information waiting to be unearthed. "Look for anything on Waverly Mansion," Henry instructed, his fingers already skimming the spines of old books. Leo, equally enthusiastic, dove into a stack of newspapers, the headlines a chronicle of Riverton Bend's storied past. As they delved into their research, Mrs. Thompson, the librarian and a long-time friend of the Smart family, approached them with a knowing smile. "Digging up secrets on the old Waverly Place, are we?" she asked, her voice a soft blend of intrigue and amusement. "Yes, Mrs. Thompson," Henry replied, looking up from an old map of the town. "We're trying to find out about the Midnight Whispers." Mrs. Thompson's eyes twinkled with a mix of nostalgia and mystery. "Ah, the Waverly Mansion," she mused. "That house has been a source of fascination for years. Did you know the Waverleys were once the most prominent family in Riverton Bend? But after the scandal and the mysterious disappearance of the last heir, the mansion was left to the whispers of time." Them to a section of the archives, pulling out a leather-bound journal. This belonged to Edgar Waverly, the last master of the mansion. "It might have something you'd find interesting." Henry and Leo gathered around the journal, its pages brittle with age. As they carefully turned the pages, A cryptic entry caught Henry's eye. It read, "The heart of the house lies hidden, where the silent whispers speak the truth of the Waverly legacy." A hidden chamber, Henry murmured, excitement lacing his voice. This could be what the locals were talking about. Leo's eyes were wide with anticipation. "A secret room in the mansion! Think of what could be in there!" Mrs. Thompson looked at them, a mix of caution and encouragement in her gaze. "Be careful, boys. The mansion has been abandoned for decades. Who knows what secrets it holds, or what danger?" "Well, Mrs. Thompson," Henry assured her, his mind already piecing together the clues. "Thank you for your help." With new information and a growing sense of adventure, Henry and Leo left the library, the mystery of the Waverly Mansion beckoning them deeper into its shadowed past. The hidden chamber, a whisper from history, now lay at the heart of their investigation, a puzzle waiting to be solved. The Smart family home, with its welcoming red brick facade and lush front garden, was a haven of warmth and love. Inside, Henry and Leo spread out their research on the dining room table, transforming the space into a command center for their midnight expedition. Maps of the Waverly Mansion and its grounds, the old journal from the library, and notes from their diner eavesdropping were laid out like pieces of a complex puzzle. Henry, with the precision of a seasoned detective, marked potential entry points and areas of interest in the mansion on the map. "We'll need flashlights, a camera, maybe some rope," Henry listed, checking each item off in his notebook. "And definitely snacks," Leo added with a grin. "Always the pragmatist." Gathered their gear, the sound of light footsteps approached. Henry's younger sister, Lucy, peeked around the corner, her bright eyes filled with curiosity. "What are you two planning?" she asked, trying to peer at the map. "We're going to explore the Waverly Mansion," Leo blurted out, earning a sharp look from Henry. Lucy's face lit up with excitement. "I'm coming too!" Henry hesitated. "Lucy, it could be dangerous. It's not exactly a place for a—" "Can help," Lucy interrupted, her determination clear. "I'm quiet, I'm fast, and I know you'll need someone to keep you two out of trouble." After a moment of contemplative silence, Henry nodded, recognizing the same adventurous spirit in Lucy that drove him. "All right, but you have to listen to everything we say. No wandering off." "Deal!" Lucy beamed, her enthusiasm infectious. With their plans finalized and backpacks loaded with essentials, the trio waited for the cloak of night to envelop Riverton Bend. The house, usually filled with the comforting sounds of family life, was now a launchpad for their nocturnal adventure. As the clock struck midnight, they slipped out the back door, the world outside wrapped in a blanket of darkness and mystery. The cool night air greeted them, carrying with it the promise of secrets waiting to be uncovered. Cover of darkness, with only the moon as their witness, Henry, Leo, and Lucy made their way towards the Waverly Mansion, its silhouette looming in the distance like a sleeping giant. The whispers of the mansion, once just a legend, now called to them, beckoning the young detectives to unveil the truths hidden within its walls. The adventure into the unknown had just begun. Chapter 2. The Shadowed Hallways. The Waverly Mansion, an imposing structure of stone and shadows, stood before them like a sentinel of forgotten stories. Its grandeur, now faded with time, whispered tales of a bygone era. The trio, armed with their curiosity and courage, approached the mansion with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Henry carefully led the way to a side entrance they had identified from the old maps. The door, surprisingly, gave way with a gentle push, its hinges groaning in protest. The sound seemed loud in the silence of the night, causing them to freeze momentarily, hearts pounding in their chests. As they stepped inside, the air grew dense with the mustiness of abandonment. The grand foyer of the mansion stretched before them, its once splendid decor now shrouded in layers of dust and cobwebs. The beam of their flashlights danced across the room, casting eerie shadows that played tricks on their eyes. "Oh," Leo whispered, his voice barely audible in the enveloping quiet. "It is like stepping back in time." Henry nodded, his gaze taking in the grand staircase that swept up to the second floor. The faded wallpaper and the chandelier that hung, lifeless from the ceiling. Portraits of the Waverly family lined the walls, their stern faces observing the new visitors to their ancestral home. Lucy, the youngest, but not the least brave, moved closer, to a portrait of a stern-looking gentleman. "This must be Edgar Waverly," she said, her finger tracing the outline of the frame. "He looks sad." As they ventured further into the foyer, examining the antique furnishings that spoke of a once luxurious life, a sudden noise echoed through the mansion. It was a sharp, abrupt sound, like something falling or being knocked over. The trio froze, their hearts skipping a beat. Henry raised his hand, signaling them to be quiet. They listened intently, but the sound did not repeat. The mansion had returned to its eerie silence, but the moment had heightened the tension among them. "Probably just a rat," Leo said, trying to sound nonchalant, but his voice betrayed a hint of nervousness. Henry nodded, though his mind was alert to the possibility of something more. "Let's be careful. This place might be more unstable than we thought." With renewed caution, they continued to explore the foyer, each step taking them deeper into the heart of the mansion's secrets. The sense of history, the feeling of stepping into a story that had long been closed, enveloped them as they moved through the shadowed hallways of Waverly Mansion. Guided by the flickering light of their flashlights, the trio made their way through the dim corridors towards the mansion's library. The door creaked open, revealing a room that seemed frozen in time. Rows of bookshelves, filled with leather-bound tomes, towered over them, and the air was thick with the scent of old paper and wood. "This place is incredible," Leo murmured, his gaze sweeping across the room. "Imagine all the stories these books could tell." Ever curious, began to explore the room, her fingers delicately tracing the spines of the books. Henry, meanwhile, focused on the layout of the room, recalling the details from Edgar Waverly's journal. As they examined the shelves, Henry's keen eye caught something unusual, a book that seemed out of place. He reached out, gently pulling on the book. To their astonishment, the bookshelf silently swung open, revealing a narrow, hidden passage. "Oh!" Lucy gasped, her eyes wide with wonder. "A secret passage, just like in the movies!" The passage was dark and cramped, lined with cobwebs that spoke of years of neglect. They squeezed through, the beams of their flashlights uncovering relics of the past, dusty artifacts, old letters bound with ribbon, faded photographs of people long gone. "This must have been their secret storage," Leo whispered, picking up an old pocket watch. "These things, they're like pieces of history." Moved deeper into the passage, Henry's flashlight fell upon a leather-bound journal, half hidden beneath a pile of old books. He carefully picked it up, dusting off the cover. The journal, worn with age, had the initials E.W. embossed on the front. "This could be Edgar Waverly's personal journal," Henry said, his voice tinged with excitement. "It might have clues about the family secret." They gathered around the journal, turning the fragile pages with reverence. The handwriting, elegant and flowing, detailed Edgar's thoughts and daily life. Then, amid mundane entries, a series of cryptic notes caught their attention. "The weight of the legacy lies heavy upon our shoulders. Secrets we bear, hidden from the world, lie concealed within these walls, never to be spoken aloud," Henry read aloud, his brow furrowed in concentration. "The family's secret. It's here, somewhere in the mansion," Lucy said, her eyes shining with the thrill of the mystery. Discovery of the journal and its veiled references to hidden secrets only deepened the enigma of the Waverly Mansion. With renewed determination, the trio knew they were on the cusp of uncovering something significant. The secrets of the Waverly family, buried within the walls of the mansion, beckoned them forward, urging them to unravel the mysteries that lay dormant in the shadowed hallways. Following the cryptic clues from Edgar Waverly's journal, Henry, Leo, and Lucy continued their exploration deeper into the mansion. Their path led them to a secluded part of the house, where the air grew colder and the silence more profound. After navigating through a series of winding passages, they stumbled upon a hidden chamber. The door creaked open, revealing a room unlike any other in the mansion. The walls were covered in cryptic writings, symbols and phrases, etched into the stone with painstaking detail. "Look at these writings," Henry said, shining his flashlight across the walls. "They're like nothing I've ever seen." Leo approached the walls, tracing the strange symbols with his fingers. "It's like a code or a secret language," he mused. The chamber was eerily quiet, but as they moved further in, A soft, whispering sound filled the air. It seemed as though the walls themselves were speaking, the wind creating haunting sounds through hidden vents. The effect was both mesmerizing and unsettling. "This must be the whispering the legends talked about," Lucy whispered, her voice barely audible over the eerie chorus. Henry took out his phone, recording the sounds and the writings on the walls. "We might be able to decipher these later," he said, focusing on capturing every detail. As they were absorbed in their investigation, a sudden shift in the shadowy ambience of the room caught their attention. A figure's silhouette appeared at the entrance of the chamber, dark and imposing against the dim light. The trio froze, their hearts pounding in their chests. The figure stood motionless, its presence a silent threat in the quiet chamber. Henry slowly turned off his phone, the light from the screen extinguishing, plunging them into near darkness. "There," Leo called out, his voice steady but revealing a hint of fear. There was no response, just the continuous whispering of the walls. The figure remained still, an enigma wrapped in the shadows of the mansion's secret chamber. Henry signaled to Leo and Lucy, gesturing for them to move slowly towards the exit. They edged backward, not taking their eyes off the mysterious figure. As they reached the door, the figure suddenly moved, stepping back into the darkness, disappearing as silently as it had appeared. With their hearts racing, the trio hurried out of the chamber, the mystery of the whispering walls and the shadowy figure deepening the enigma of Waverly Mansion. The adventure they had embarked upon was proving to be more mysterious and dangerous than they had anticipated, and the secrets of the mansion were not yielding themselves easily. Chapter 3. Unraveling Secrets. Pounding encounter with the mysterious figure left Henry, Leo, and Lucy with a mix of fear and adrenaline as they hurried away from the whispering chamber. Their footsteps echoed in the empty corridors, the once intriguing silence of the mansion now feeling oppressive and foreboding. As they navigated through the dimly lit hallways, their rapid pace and heightened nerves led them to a part of the mansion they hadn't explored. The walls here were lined with faded tapestries and paintings, each one a window into the mansion's grand past. Suddenly, Lucy tripped over a loose floorboard, sending her sprawling to the ground. Henry and Leo immediately stopped, turning back to help her up. As they did, they noticed something peculiar. A small compartment in the floor had opened when Lucy tripped. "Are you okay, Lucy?" Henry asked, extending a hand to help her up. "I'm fine," Lucy replied, brushing herself off. "But look at this!" Momentarily overshadowing their recent scare, they peered into the hidden compartment. Inside lay a single old photograph, its edges worn and its colours faded. Henry carefully picked it up, holding it up to the light of his flashlight. The photograph depicted the mansion's original family, posed in front of the grand entrance. There was the stern-looking Edgar Waverly they had seen in the portrait, along with several other distinguished-looking adults. But what caught their attention was a young child standing slightly apart from the others. The child's face was solemn, and there was something hauntingly familiar about it. "I've never seen this child in any of the mansion's records," Henry murmured, studying the photograph closely. "Maybe they were relatives, a hidden part of the family," Leo suggested, leaning in for a closer look. "The child looks so sad, almost like they knew something bad was going to happen," Lucy added, her voice soft. The recovery of the photograph added a new layer to the mystery. Who was this child, and why had there been no mention of them in the history of the Waverly family? The mansion seemed to hold more secrets than they had initially thought, each one leading them further into its enigmatic past. With the photograph safely tucked into Henry's notebook, the trio continued their escape from the mansion, their minds racing with questions about the unknown child and the reasons behind their erasure from the family's history. The secrets of Waverly Mansion were slowly unraveling, but with each revelation came new mysteries, pulling them deeper into the web of the past. Back in the safety and familiarity of Henry's room, the trio gathered around his desk, now transformed into an impromptu investigation headquarters. The items they had collected from the mansion were spread out before them: the leather-bound journal, the mysterious old photograph, and Henry's phone with the recordings from the whispering chamber. Henry opened the journal to the page with the cryptic entries they had found. With a careful eye, he began to decipher the elegant, looping handwriting. The flickering light from his desk lamp cast a studious glow over the scene. "Listen to this," Henry said, his voice tinged with excitement. "The truth of our fortune lies buried beneath our legacy, a testament to our triumphs and our transgressions." "Fortune," Leo echoed, leaning forward. "Like hidden treasure." "It sounds like it," Henry replied. "And there's more about a scandal that shook the foundations of the Waverly name. This could be why the family fell into obscurity." Lucy, who had been studying the photograph, chimed in. "This child in the picture, could they be connected to the scandal somehow?" "It's possible," Henry pondered. "Maybe the child knew something about the hidden fortune or the scandal." The room was alive with theories and speculations as they tried to piece together the fragmented story of the Waverly family. The Whispering Chamber's recordings added another layer to the mystery. The sounds, once eerie and indistinct, now seemed to be a key part of the puzzle. Listen to the recordings, trying to discern any distinguishable words or patterns. Leo had a sudden thought. "We should talk to Mr. Aldridge, the town historian. He knows all about Riverton Bend's history. Maybe he can shed some light on this child and the Waverly scandal." Henry nodded in agreement. "Good idea. Leo, Mr. Aldridge might have access to records or information we haven't seen." Lucy looked determined. "Let's do it. We need to find out the truth, for the Waverly family and for the child in this photo." The trio's resolve solidified. They knew their next step was to seek out Mr. Aldridge. The secrets of the Waverly Mansion were slowly unraveling, and they were closer than ever to uncovering the truth. Each clue they had discovered was a piece of the puzzle, and now it was time to find the missing pieces that would complete the picture. The next day, the trio found themselves at the doorstep of Mr. Aldridge, the town historian. His house, much like himself, was a repository of Riverton Bend's history, with walls adorned with old maps and photographs of the town through the ages. Aldridge, a bespectacled man with a gentle demeanor, welcomed them into his study, a room that felt like stepping into the past. Shelves of books and documents surrounded them, each whispering tales of yesteryear. "We're investigating the Waverly Mansion," Henry began, his tone respectful yet firm. "We believe there's more to the family's history than what's commonly known." Mr. Aldridge, looking slightly taken aback by their direct approach, adjusted his glasses. "The Waverleys, eh? A tragic tale, that one. What exactly are you looking for?" Henry presented the old photograph and recounted their findings, including the journal entries and the Whispering Chamber. Mr. Aldridge listened intently, his eyes reflecting a growing intrigue. After a moment of contemplation, Mr. Aldridge sighed. The Waverleys were once the pride of Riverton Bend, but a scandal shook them to their core. It involved the youngest member of the family, the child you found in the photograph. "Was the child?" Lucy asked, her voice filled with curiosity. "A nephew of Edgar Waverly," Mr. Aldridge revealed. "He disappeared after the scandal, and the family never spoke of him again. It was as if he never existed." The revelation sent a ripple of shock through the trio. The forgotten child, a victim of a family's pride and a town's judgment. Mr. Aldridge then stood up and pulled out an old, brittle map of the Waverly Mansion from a drawer. "This might help you," he said, laying it out on the desk. The map detailed the mansion's layout, but what caught their attention was an area marked off that they hadn't explored. "This section here," Mr. Aldridge pointed, "was sealed off after the family left. It might hold some answers." The trio exchanged excited glances. This was the breakthrough they had been looking for. "Thank you, Mr. Aldridge," Henry said, his mind racing with possibilities. "This is exactly what we need." As they left Mr. Aldridge's house, the historian's words and the new section of the map in hand, a sense of purpose fueled their steps. The forgotten child's story was a piece of Riverton Bend's history, and they were determined to bring it to light. Chapter 4. The Hidden Fortune. Under the cloak of twilight, Henry, Leo, and Lucy approached the Waverly Mansion once again. The mansion, with its towering silhouette against the dusky sky, seemed to await their return. Clutching the old map provided by Mr. Aldridge, the trio felt a renewed sense of purpose. "Is it?" Henry said, his voice steady with determination. "Tonight we uncover the truth." With the map as their guide, they navigated through the mansion's familiar yet foreboding corridors. The silence of the abandoned house was a stark contrast to the racing of their hearts, each beat a step closer to unraveling the Waverly family's secrets. They arrived at the section indicated on the map, a part of the mansion they had not explored during their previous visit. Hidden behind an old tapestry, they discovered a door, its existence previously unnoticed, obscured by years of neglect. Leo carefully pushed the door open, revealing a room that time seemed to have forgotten. Dust motes danced in the beams of their flashlights as they stepped inside. The room was smaller than the others, more intimate, and it was here that the Waverly family's lost fortunes were rumoured to be hidden. As they began to search, their eyes fell upon an ornate chest in the corner of the room. Its wood was aged, but the intricate carvings on its surface spoke of the wealth and status of the Waverly family. Henry carefully lifted the lid, revealing a trove of old documents, jewellery, and faded photographs. "It could be worth a fortune," Leo whispered, all evident in his voice, as he examined a gold pocket watch adorned with precious stones. While Leo and Lucy explored the contents of the chest, Henry sifted through the documents. Among them, he found a series of letters addressed to the young child in the photograph, filled with affection and promises of a future that never came to be. "This child, he was deeply loved," Henry said softly, holding up the letters for the others to see. "These letters, they're from Edgar Waverly himself." Lucy looked over Henry's shoulder. "But why hide them? Why erase him from the family's history?" As they pondered the question, the pieces of the puzzle began to form a clearer picture. The hidden room, the letters, the child's disappearance, they were all intertwined in the tapestry of the Waverly family's legacy. The clue they uncovered, the story of the Waverly family and the forgotten child, became more poignant. The room, a hidden sanctuary of memories and secrets, held the key to understanding the true nature of Waverly's downfall and the fate of the young child, lost in the shadows of history. Amidst the treasure trove of the hidden room, the trio's attention was drawn to a small, delicately crafted locket. It lay half-buried under a pile of papers, its surface dulled by time, but still exuding an air of elegance. Henry picked it up, gently rubbing away the years of grime, to reveal an inscription on the back. "To our dearest Samuel, with all our love," he read aloud. The name Samuel sparked a realization in his mind. "Samuel! That's the name of the child," Henry exclaimed, his eyes widening with excitement. "This locket must have belonged to him." Leo leaned in, his curiosity piqued. "Do you think he could still be alive?" Nodded, piecing together the evidence they had gathered. "If he was a child when the Waverleys lived here, he could be an old man now." Lucy, her eyes bright with wonder, added, "What if he's still in Riverton Bend? He could be living here, unaware of his past." The thought of Samuel, the lost heir of the Waverly family, living in obscurity within their own town, was both thrilling and poignant. The letters, the locket, and the hidden room painted a picture of a child dearly loved yet mysteriously sent away. As they continued to sift through the room's contents, they found more evidence supporting this theory. A series of correspondence hinted at arrangements made for Samuel's care after the scandal, indicating that he was sent to live with a distant relative. "We need to find him," Henry declared, a sense of urgency in his voice. "He deserves to know the truth about his family." The discovery of the locket and the realization that Samuel might still be alive set a new course for their investigation. The mystery of the Waverly Mansion was no longer just a quest for hidden treasures and family secrets. It had become a search for a lost heir, a man who had been denied his rightful place in history. The chapter of the Waverly family's lost fortune was slowly closing, giving way to a new chapter in the search for Samuel. The trio knew their journey was far from over. The clues they had uncovered in the hidden room were just the beginning, leading them to a quest that would take them beyond the walls of the mansion and into the heart of Riverton Bend's forgotten past. During their exploration, Leo's hand brushed against a section of the wall, and to their surprise, it swung open, revealing yet another concealed compartment. A collective gasp escaped the trio as they peered inside. There, in a hidden alcove, lay the true fortune of the Waverly family, a dazzling array of rare artifacts, antique jewelry, and precious stones that glittered even in the dim light of their flashlights. "Look at this!" Leo exclaimed, his eyes wide in awe. "It's like a treasure trove. Henry and Lucy joined him, marvelling at the collection that had been hidden away for decades. The artifacts, each a piece of history, spoke of the Waverly family's once great wealth and influence. He carefully examined the treasures. Henry discovered another item of significance, a final journal entry tucked away in a velvet-lined box. He opened the journal to the last page, where a handwritten note revealed the intentions of the Waverly family. "The fortune of our house, amassed through generations, shall be the inheritance of our beloved Samuel," Henry read. "In him lies our hope for redemption and the continuation of the Waverly legacy." The revelation brought a sense of closure to the mystery. The Waverleys had intended for their fortune to go to Samuel, the lost heir whose existence had been erased from the family's history. "We need to find Samuel," Lucy said, her voice firm with resolve. "He has a right to know about this, about his family's legacy." Henry nodded, closing the journal with a sense of reverence. "We'll find him and tell him everything. It's time to restore the Waverly fortune to its rightful heir." Discovery of the hidden treasure and the final journal entry marked a turning point in their adventure. What had started as a quest to uncover the secrets of the Waverly Mansion had evolved into a mission to right a historical wrong. Chapter 5. Legacy Restored. The following days saw Henry, Leo, and Lucy engaged in a flurry of activity, combing through town records and engaging in conversations with the oldest residents of Riverton Bend. Their relentless pursuit of the truth led them to an unexpected revelation. The lost heir of the Waverly family was not a man, but an elderly woman named Samantha Waverly, living quietly on the outskirts of town, unaware of her true heritage. With a mixture of excitement and nervousness, the trio approached a quaint, well-kept house where Samantha resided. The garden was blooming with flowers, and the sound of a wind chime filled the air as they knocked on the door. A gentle-faced woman, with traces of the Waverly features in her countenance, answered the door. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice soft but edged with curiosity. "Mrs. Waverly," Henry began, his tone respectful, "we have something important to discuss with you. It's about your family, the Waverly family." Samantha invited them in, leading them to a cozy living room. As they explained their discovery at the mansion, including the hidden fortune and the journal entries, Samantha listened with growing astonishment. "I was always told my parents died when I was very young, and I was raised by distant relatives," Samantha shared, her voice trembling with emotion. "I had no idea about any fortune or that my family was once so prominent." The revelation of her being the true heir to the Waverly legacy seemed to overwhelm her, yet in her eyes there was a glimmer of recognition, as if a part of her had always sensed a connection to the grand mansion and its hidden secrets. "I remember visiting a grand house when I was very little," she said, her eyes distant with memory. "There were beautiful gardens, and I had a locket. I lost it long ago." Henry carefully presented the locket they had found, and Samantha's hand flew to her mouth in surprise. "That's my locket," she whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. "I can't believe this is all real." They shared more of what they had discovered, including the photographs and letters. For Samantha, each item was a piece of the puzzle of her past, falling into place to form a picture she had never imagined. A few days later, Henry, Leo, Lucy, and Samantha Waverly stood before the gates of the Waverly Mansion. The air was filled with a sense of purpose and renewal as they prepared to reclaim the treasure that rightfully belonged to Samantha. "This is more than just treasure," Samantha said, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "It's a piece of my family's history, a part of who I am." With a newfound sense of belonging, Samantha led the way into the mansion. The trio showed her the hidden room where they had discovered the Waverly fortune. As Samantha beheld the artifacts and jewels, a sense of awe washed over her. The connection to her past, once lost, was now palpably present in the treasures that lay before her. The discovery sparked an idea in the trio. "We should share this with the town," Henry suggested. "A public event to restore the Waverly legacy and honor your family's history." Agreed, touched by the idea of reconnecting with a community from which she had been unwittingly estranged. The event was set in motion, and the news spread quickly through Riverton Bend. The local media caught wind of the story, intrigued by the tale of lost heritage and newfound fortune. Aunt Clara, who had always had a penchant for captivating stories, eagerly took on the task of writing a feature article about their adventure. On the day of the event, the Waverly Mansion, once a symbol of mystery and neglect, was transformed. The local community gathered in the mansion's grounds, buzzing with excitement and curiosity. The mayor of Riverton Bend gave a speech, acknowledging the Waverly family's contributions to the town's history and welcoming Samantha back into the community. Samantha, with Henry, Leo, and Lucy by her side, unveiled the hidden fortune to the public. The display of rare artifacts, jewels, and the story behind their discovery captivated the attendees. It was a moment of triumph and emotion, a bridge between the past and the present. Aunt Clara's article captured the essence of the adventure, painting a vivid picture of the mystery, the investigation, and the heartwarming conclusion. It celebrated the young detective's perseverance and the restoration of the Waverly legacy, a tale that resonated with the townsfolk and beyond. Days following the event, the trio found themselves at their favorite spot by the Willow River, the gentle flow of the water, a soothing backdrop to their reflections. The sun was setting, casting a golden hue over Riverton Bend, the town now buzzing with the story of the Waverly Mansion's rediscovered legacy. Henry, gazing at the flowing river, broke the comfortable silence. "We did something really special, you know. We didn't just solve a mystery. We helped restore a part of our town's history." Leo, lying back on the grass, added, "Yeah, and we gave Mrs. Waverly back her family story. That's pretty awesome." Lucy, always energetic, was already looking ahead. "So, what's next for us? There's got to be more mysteries out there." Henry smiled, his mind already alight with possibilities. "Actually, I've been hearing some rumors about the old mill on the outskirts of town. They say it's haunted." Leo sat up, his interest piqued. "Now that's something I've got to see." The trio laughed, the bond of their friendship and shared adventures, a strong tie that connected them. They had grown through their experiences at the Waverly Mansion, not just as detectives, but as individuals who had made a tangible impact on their community. As they stood up, ready to head back home, they paused for a moment, looking out over Riverton Bend. The town, with its blend of history and modernity, was more than just a backdrop for their adventures. It was a living, breathing character in their story. The trio looked at the horizon, the silhouette of the old mill visible in the distance. Their journey at the Waverly Mansion had come to an end, but new mysteries beckoned, promising more adventures and challenges. Riverton Bend, with its layers of history and secrets, was ready to unveil its next story to Henry, Leo, and Lucy, the young detectives, poised to uncover whatever lay hidden beneath the surface.